Hey, welcome back to Wicked Smart Golf, aka Wicked Smart. This is your host, Michael Leonard, and this podcast is committed to helping you play better golf without changing your swing. Today, I'm really excited to bring on Dr. Debbie Cruz. She's done a lot in the golf and the sports world. PhD, director of OptiBrain, sports psychology consultant at ASU, and performance coach. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thanks, Michael. It's a pleasure always to come and talk about golf.
So I feel like I'm at like level maybe 2 on the mental game, and you're probably at like level 20. So I feel like you've given me a lot to shoot for in my own career. I love what you're doing with the mental side of things. That's why I started this whole brand as I was kind of a
Yes.
psycho on the golf course as a kid, and I wanted to figure out what's going on out there. There's still some room to improve. So hopefully talking with you today will do it. But thanks again for all you've contributed to athletes and golfers. And would love to kind of start there because I know you're a golfer and that's how you kind of got your start too. So tell us a little bit about how you got introduced to this awesome game.
Oh, probably the typical story, but my dad played, that one started a lot of us. And it was great. But you told me your story about starting out in college and with high scores. I did that 124 or whatever you said. I think I had a similar score for 9 holes when I started because I whiffed all the time and I would get like 36 on a hole and I was so embarrassed and I did not like the game. And then one summer, I didn't have much to do. I was changing schools, new friends, so I just spent the whole summer at the golf course and got a lot better, and fell in love with it and then got hooked. So pretty much been doing it ever since. And
I
then
love it.
actually moved out here, Arizona, to see what I could do with my game, but ended up back in graduate school, which I liked as well, and kind of veered that route. So it's more fun to study it and help people out for me than it is to play. I know you like to play.
I'm trying to do both, and I feel like
Oh,
some days I'm doing good, and some days I'm like, why am I doing all this? So
yeah.
it's just a never-ending quest. That's like well, I just had a podcast guest earlier today, and I feel like that's the thing we're talking about. It's like you never stop learning about this game.
No. And, as many studies as we've done, as soon as you get done, you're already figuring the next one because there's more questions to answer. It's fascinating. It'll stretch you to every end of emotions, to the extreme, and then the psychological side and the
Hmm.
attentional side. And yep, it teaches us about life.
Yeah, it teaches us
Mhm.
about life. That is the truth. So let's kind of even start at like a high level for golfers, kind of understanding, the subconscious, the conscious, like how does that all play a role with practice and playing our best? I feel like even starting there can hopefully help simplify the game a little bit.
Very good starting point. So I don't know. Do you know the iceberg profile? It's so old, psychology, right?
Feel free to break it down. Yeah.
Okay, so just like in Titanic, you saw the iceberg, above the water, and then you've got the water, and all the rest of the ice is below the water. So we associate it this way. The piece on the top of the water, that little piece, is your conscious mind. It's more of what you think, and in our training we call it the coach. Okay, and then the subconscious mind is everything below the water, which is huge, and it's more probably of what you feel, and we call it the team. So now you've got your coach and your team. I put the coach here in your brain, and then even though the subconscious is also in your brain, I put it in your body because there's a lot of research to suggest it's there as well. So
Mm.
you got your coach and your team that you got to get on the same page to hit a shot, but they're not always on the same page. So you've got to find a way to get them there. And so the coach, like I always liken it to a basketball game. You got your coach that does so many good things, prepares, strategizes, runs practice, calls timeout, a very good one, never allowed on the court, right? So the same in golf. Your coach does so many good things to get you ready, is not allowed to swing the club, right? Similar to your business there, which is very good. So the subconscious can do most everything better, partly because it has access 95% or more of our brain power capacity, and this is 5%, but it's a very powerful 5%. But almost all the information, the research these days is really interesting because 90% of what we do all day long is being done subconsciously or more, right? And so the coach is very important to help and guide and direct. And the team's job is to follow what the coach says the best they can today.
Mm-hmm.
Some days are better than others, except for one thing. And the one thing is the subconscious, it must keep you safe and protect you. You know, the lion walks in the room and it's your subconscious that gets you out of there, right? So the thing is, if there's any worry or doubt or fear, any of those things on the golf course, they're going to interfere with this nice system that's set up to help us. So it'd be probably a good idea to just manage the doubt or worry first, and then you got a great system working in the same direction to give you success.
I love it. Yeah, that's I heard you say that on a different podcast, the coach versus the team. I'd never heard that. I love that. I think that's so good. You just have to have everybody's got to be working together, and we have to
They
make
got to
sure.
live together.
Yeah.
The little 5% right here in your brain, executive function area of your brain, makes decisions, focuses attention. It can only parallel process, think of two things at once.
Hmm.
And they got to be in order. Whatever is number one is probably going to happen. Two may or may not. So when we, do our research, the two things that most athletes are focusing on when they're performing well are target and feel. And so
Mm.
on a really good day, probably target's number one because everything's in place. And maybe on a not as good day, might have to put a little focus on feel. Um,
Okay.
but other than that, you'd kind of like to stay in that realm and then let the
That's
team play.
Yeah, that target and feel. I feel like that's 100%. Like when I think about my best rounds, like I'm just locked in on my targets. I'm not thinking mechanical stuff. A lot of people will ask me, if I have like I post a good round in a tournament, shooting the 60s or something, they're like, "What were you thinking about?" And I'll be like, "Nothing. Like just the target and my routine. Like I am the least technical golfer. That's why I started a brand like this. I
Right.
didn't want any when someone starts talking about the TrackMan and VSP and all these numbers, my brain just like shuts down. I'm like, this is not how I operate. So, like you said, targets and feel. I feel like most golfers, if they just thought about that, would help. Which actually leads me to something I want to kind of understand more is people say, hey, I need a swing thought during the day. So, do you recommend people having swing thoughts, or is it more the feel? Because that is going to help, I guess, maybe with the subconscious more versus thinking too much.
Well, it's a loaded question, Michael. So a swing thought, okay. So it's the brain has to have something to do, right? It's got to be
Hmm.
somewhere. So some people manage their brain by having something to think about in there, which can be a swing thought, because it just occupies all of this and keeps it out of the way
Hmm.
so your team can just play the game, right? So sometimes the swing thought isn't to direct the motion, it's just to keep this busy so your
Okay.
team can play. But then I always hear the players, well, yeah, I I I think about this. Well, it can be a swing thought or a swing feel. You want it to feel. Okay, so let's just say it's, the first 6 inches. Well, you can
Hmm.
think about it, where you're putting that club, or you can feel it. You want to be in feel mode because they're very different in the brain. One of them is sending information to the muscles. We call it sending.
Mm.
Okay, and it's efferent information going down, and the other is receiving. If I'm feeling, I'm receiving from the muscles back. That's the one you want because then you can self-correct during the swing. I'm
Mm.
figuring as good as the subconscious, and they can make about 10 corrections during the swing. The conscious can't even get close to that. They're not, it takes too long.
Wow, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a golf swing, like a good swing, takes about a second. Like even if you look at a lot of the amateurs are 1.5 to 3 seconds because they swing too slow. But like really good pros are 0.9 seconds. Pros are a second, and you're saying the subconscious can make 10 adjustments in that small window.
I calculated it on a 2 second swing, so it might be a
Okay,
little less than that. But
still
then,
at least 5 adjustments. That's
yeah.
wild.
And then you mentioned, you got the direction going back and the direction going forward. So that
Hmm.
changes as well, right?
Right.
Because there are different amounts of time. And I mean, you
Hmm.
can do more from a conscious perspective going back. So people love to work on because they can do something. But going forward, I mean, from the top of the backswing to the impact's about is it 450 milliseconds? You can't influence it consciously, when, especially if it's going 100 miles an hour. You can influence it before you start or past impact if you have a thought over here, but you're not going to do much in that little window. It's not possible.
So what should golfers be thinking about or feeling right before, like when they're over the ball, like that last getting ready to pull the trigger?
Okay, very good in terms of the research side. We measured 1 second before people move for 40 years. We've been doing it. Okay. Well, we measured farther back, 1 second back, 2 seconds, 3, 4. And in other sports, we can go back 7 seconds because they're not moving too much. And so it is only the 1 second before that's critical and predictive of performance. So what you have in here last is critical. Okay. And it's probably what's likely to happen. Okay, so what do you want? Where do you want to be? Well, I mentioned target and feel there when you're playing your best.
Mm-hmm.
If we went down one layer, and today's a C game day, I better think about a little more. Anything timing, rhythm, balance will keep you on the right side of your brain. In the 1 second, you've got to be balanced or right-sided a little more. It is fine, preferably not left, because that's your mechanics positions and all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't serve you in the swing. But if you do it in feel mode now, we're on the right side of the brain, right? So that's going to benefit you. But from our data, the worst place you could be would be mechanics and trying to steer and direct it. I mean, when you're learning practice, that's fine on the range. But even if it's brand new and you go to the course, do it in feel mode, right? Feel for it instead of think your way through it. And then I get the players that, yeah, I'm feel. Well, are you feeling feel or are you thinking feel? And they're still thinking feel. It's
I
hard.
believe it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Golfers are just such, I feel like a lot of type A's too, and trying to control stuff. And it's like, if we think we have a swing thought or we can like feel it or just like make it happen. And sometimes it's like, you got to kind of let go. It's like, I was talking to a medical student earlier and he's like, I just had a terrible front nine. And then I just said, F it and shot even on the back. And it's like kind of getting out of that mechanical controlling motion can kind of do that sometimes.
That's exactly right. When I've had enough, I just let go of all my stuff and I start playing the game.
Yeah, so should golfers? I think this is something where a lot of golfers kind of don't understand, and even I've probably struggled with it too. Is like, should I be flat? Should I be too high? Like, where does like the optimal emotions for the brain to get in the zone and really play our best?
Uh, okay, this is my theory about it based on the data we've collected a long time, really. You want to get in the zone. I'm fascinated with it. And we've studied a lot of what's out there. There's not a lot on the zone, but there's a lot on flow. But
Hmm.
so in the research world, they're used synonymously, flow zone. But if you talk to an athlete, they're not at all the same thing. Okay, so zone is probably a much higher level than flow
Hmm.
of
Okay.
and we've measured it. I was mentioned we just measured these things with top U.S. archers, and so we know what the zone looks like in the brain. So we can help you get there. The what it looks like is it's very efficient because we're measuring consciousness. So you get very quiet because you're in such a good place, and pretty much the subconscious is doing everything, and
Hmm.
and we don't measure quite that deep. So can we help you get there? Well, the adventure sport athletes, they all know how to get in the zone because if they don't, they'll die. They're jumping off cliffs, they're riding 40-foot waves, they're skateboarding, so they're fascinating people. So I'm thinking, well, if they can get in the zone, we can learn to get in the zone because it's a place
Yeah.
up. So now most people think of the zone, it feels calm, it's easy, all these nice things, which is
Hmm.
true. The old bell curve about emotions being low and emotions being high. Okay, so I could be in this nice meditative state, I think, and get myself in the zone from that end, right? And then you've got the middle section, and then you've got a very high activated, we would call it a gamma state where activity is flowing. But I know you can get in the zone at that state as well, because that's
Hmm.
what these adventure sport people do, and they describe it this way. The first stage of getting in the zone for an adventure sport athletes is unrest. Okay, it's activation, it's agitation, they've called it. Okay, so it's at a very high level, but when you get that all focused and synchronized, you can slip into the zone very easily and stay there. Yeah,
Mm.
so the only place I think you don't get in the zone very easily is in the middle, just a regular day. Lots of times the circumstances, of the story of your game today,
Mm-hmm.
when I have to make a putt, I make a putt,
Mm.
right? I'll get there. So it's really interesting. That's
Do
what
you
we're
feel
going
like?
to be studying in the next study as well.
Oh, okay. So it does it feel like you said, kind of the day almost determines it. Do you feel like there has to be some sort of challenge then? It can't just be like too easy. It has to have like some sort of emotion to the state, I guess.
Well, I'm not sure about that. You can get in the zone and practice,
Mm.
right? So
Tell us
you,
how, because most golfers are practicing the wrong way.
I don't know. I learned it from Yvonne Lendl. We had this, he was number one in tennis for 8 years, and amazing athlete. And we had this discussion one time in Pinehurst, actually, about the zone. And he said in his day, he uh, every time he got in the zone, practice, play, or tournament match, he would write down everything he did before he got into it. And then he would just keep doing that because it's
Mm.
probably more about how you get yourself ready that day. So even if you wake up and you don't have a feel good day, if you do these things, you're actually programming yourself to go, your brain to go into the zone, which I clearly believe you can do now. I never used to think so.
Hmm.
I, the athletes do it. Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, kind of preparing yourself for that. I like that because yeah, like you said, not every day. Some days you wake up and you're just feeling it, but other days it's like a little bit more
yeah,
work. But you almost have like the neural pathways are kind of already fired and ready to go if you have like that process.
correct. Yeah, you just program it to come. That's right.
Okay, fantastic. So one thing I was wondering too is with the subconscious versus the conscious is when we get like super emotional on the course and we can then create like a really bad memory and that memory sticks with us and it's like maybe you missed a putt on 18. Like, well, the reason I think I started this brand was a similar instance. So in my college tryout, I flew down from Oregon to California with my dad. I was trying out for the team. I was playing with the coach. I was playing with two of the
Oh,
players, and I was there was a bit like a tee box right here, and then a creek right below, driving range left, trees right,
oh,
elevated tee box. I got the men's and women's team behind me.
oh man.
17 years old, didn't know anything about the mental game. I mean, to this day, I mean, I'm talking about it. My body's almost going back in that moment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I get up and dead top this thing. Go
Oh,
on to make an 8 or 9, play the worst round of golf ever. I always joke it was my Southwest airline commercials, like, want to get away. Like, I would have given a limb to escape that situation.
I
So
hear.
that one stuck with me for years. Like I don't have that anymore on the first tee, but when I quit golf and then got back into it, I would like consistently worry because I had so many negative emotions with it. And maybe everyone doesn't have that horrific of an incident, but maybe they had a shank or they missed a putt on 18 in a club championship. So how does the subconscious kind of store those memories and how do we hopefully not let those impact the future?
Well, it's probably misstored for the
Mm.
so the anxiety part and everything of the brain is right in the middle here, right behind our executive function for the most part. And what happens when you have a traumatic event like that is it gets stuck. And at night when you go to sleep, the memories from the day all get stored
Hmm.
appropriately, except that one won't get stored appropriately. It gets stuck in this same area of the brain. and it never gets processed out. So, like, I don't know if you've heard of EMDR or bilateral
Hmm.
stimulation. We have a little device that we use to help players manage some of this stuff, because what happens is, if you think about it, it's going to pull up all the stuff and it's right here, so it's pretty easy access. But when you go through processing it out with either uh, EMDR or bilateral stimulation, what it does is it pulls it up out of being stuck, spreads it across the brain. All you got to do is go back and think through it and process it correctly. So you will have the thought, but you will no longer have the emotion with it.
Mm.
That's the valuable part. Yeah, emotions. People give emotions a bad rap, but emotions are our source of energy. They're they're our intensity. They're very good in many ways. It's just that we don't want them running us, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
we want to still be in charge. So as long as we can, you know, they're going to be there, and you can't control all the thoughts that come in, and you can't control the emotions either. But if we stay in charge and we see ourselves that way, and we have some tools to manage it, then uh, we're fine. We
Hmm.
can still perform, because
Hmm.
you can be traumatized by that event, and you're in this terrible place, but you drop one putt and it changes just like that. All the chemicals in here change and you're fine. It,
Hmm.
it can happen fast.
It can happen so fast.
Yeah.
So if golfers do have a horrifying shot in their memory, you just recommend doing some sort of processing to hopefully help it get unstuck.
That's exactly right. I mean, lots of times we're in denial and we don't want to think about it and everything,
Mm.
but I'm guessing what you did yourself over the years is you kind of desensitized yourself from it. So rather than running away from it and hope it doesn't show up, it'd be better probably just to sit with it. I always figure it's this crazy guy in here that shows up. That's how I define it. The crazy guy's back. We're on the first tee. Here he is. And my thinking is you're going to take him out of your head, you're going to plant him in front of you on the tee. It never can be behind you. He's going to sit there and you're going to tell the crazy guy, bring it on. You think you can
Mm.
wreck my game today or my swing? You go right ahead. And as soon as we take the he's running the show and the fear of him out, it's like, do whatever you have today because I'm hitting the ball. You are so far ahead of where you were.
Hmm.
You got a great chance.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
perception.
I feel like yeah, the crazy guy, he still lives inside me a little bit, unfortunately. I know everyone kind of has that at some
We
point,
all
right?
have them. We all
So
have.
it's like so you kind of have to expect that at some level, but it's learning how to deal with the crazy guy.
Oh yeah, and
Mm.
me. I mean, I'm always talking to the players that the crazy guy or the crazy lady, they are not allowed anywhere near your ball. Over and out. You're not allowed. You can sit over there and watch if you want. The thing is, you want to get them out and away from you. You
Mm.
you don't want to own that guy, but we all have one. So
Hmm.
it's not like, I'm crazy. He's crazy. Well, just park him over here and he can watch, or leave him in the
Oh.
trunk would be even better, right?
Mm. So is it almost like acknowledging that during the round? Like I still have that every once in a while. Like if I'm playing with people that are quote unquote better than me, or if I'm in like a bigger tournament, I have that almost like I'm not good enough, going back to like being a kid, being like a terrible golfer, or is that just your brain doing its job, but it's like, hey, you're not like you said, no saber tooth tiger. Like I guess I know a lot of players fear that as they get better and they level up, and I still feel that sometimes too.
Okay, so we kind of break it out. There's uh, a, s- um, a group that did research probably in the 80s on subpersonalities, and subpersonalities suggest that there are different sides of you. For example, you go home with your family, you act one way. You go to the golf course, you're another. You go out with your friends to drink a few, you're different, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I watch my players. There's probably 4 to 6 different people I see come out on that golf course. So we switched the name. I work with Christopher Smith a bit on. We switched the name to mini me's, and so It's just you've got 4 to 6 mini-me's in there that are all going to be out there sometime probably on the golf course. Okay, so the idea is this: if you can, I have all the players identify your people, name them,
Hmm.
write down 3 characteristics of each one of them. So as soon as they show up, oh, there's my grit guy. Okay, is that the person you want hitting the next shot? If it isn't, pick a different one. They're all authentic and they're all you. You don't have to hit the ball with the guy that you were when you were 12 years old that,
Mm.
you don't have to. There's no reason you have to. The thing is, you own them all. That they're you. They're authentic, well practiced. But what you want to do is practice pulling them up when you want them. So we'll go through this exercise. Name them all. Write them all out. Your performer, your grit guy, your judge and jury, your strategist, your or woe is me. I mean, there's a ton of
Mm.
them. Okay, and then you go take your driver to the range and you hit one ball with each one. So you stand behind the ball and you be your grit person. And you walk up to every one of them to hit the best shot you can. And the ball will tell you which mini me's work for you and which ones don't. And it's often surprising. Some of the ones you think help you and serve you out there, they don't. And some of the ones that maybe you think don't serve you very well. Yeah,
I
it's
can't
really fun.
I can't tell you how much that resonates with me. Like I just I, I always have said to my girlfriend and my golf buddies, I'm like, God, I just feel like there's so many voices up there. But it's like when you think about it, it's really only like the same 4 or 5. It's like different kind of avatars. Like I like the mini me's.
That's
That's funny.
right. Oh,
Mm,
Avatar's a good one. I like that too. Yeah. And
gosh.
if you name a man, as soon as they show up,
Uh-huh.
oh, there he is. Instead of, 3 holes later, you figure out the wrong person's hitting the ball. You
Mm,
could have saved all those strokes.
yeah.
Who
So the
walks up? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, and I was gonna say I just want to apply it to something that like I know a lot of I've shared my anger struggles over the years. I've tried everything from, endless hypnotherapy to Psych K to NLP. What was the other one? Timeline therapy. I mean, I've tried so many things, but that anger still just has. And unfortunately, that guy played too many holes yesterday. I told you I had a tournament, and I'm like, I got to name that guy, so it's like a naming it, understanding the characteristics of it. I know a lot of players listening can resonate because I have a pretty male dominated audience, and I've had guys share some of their broken clubs and throwing bags in lakes, some anger stuff. So it's like I really like the mini me. I think everyone can understand that. But then what? So you have the mini me in the middle of the round. How do we go from like, well, I'll call mine Hulk because I got the Hulk
Yeah,
angry.
good for
So
you.
how do we go from Hulk to whatever the other version I'll do this exercise later, but how do you kind of shift mid round?
Okay. Well, before I go there, the thing that amazed me the first time I did it is I hooked up the brain
Hmm.
and I looked at the brain patterns and they were different. They were different for each of these mini-me's. And I thought, oh my gosh, no wonder the shots are going different places because I mean, the
Gotcha.
brain is so different. And so to your question in terms of the anger guy, so the first one is it anger or frustration? Okay, because they're very different from each other. Okay,
Mm.
the angry guy, I'll take the angry guy any day of the week. The frustrated guy, the anger guy has activation in the brain. We can channel that into focus. You can probably remember you missed this little short 3-footer and just strike the next drive because you're so angry. Okay, but the frustrated guy is depleted. He has nothing to work with. I'm so tired of this. I can't believe you hit that shot again. So they're totally depleted. They've got nothing up here to work with. So the frustrated guy and the sad one are the two emotions to me hardest to work with. We
Mm.
have to get you some energy in here first before we can ask you to go back and play golf. And you don't want to wait for the little white ball or the story to make you feel good. Oh, when I hit a good one, then I'll be okay. Because
Yeah.
now you gave all your power and control to the little white ball or the story. So if you hit bottom, you got to get your ladder and dig yourself out of that big black hole as fast as you can. I mean, one of the best things you can think about, it sounds crazy, is food. But food, what's your favorite food? It takes care of smells, taste, every single sensory system you have. It'll incorporate all of them. It makes people smile. Okay. You can't be totally frustrated when you think of your favorite food and where you like to eat it or how you like to fix it or whatever. That one's worth gold. Music's the other one. Music is magic.
Mm.
They'll take care of you. And now you can ask yourself to come back and play golf. But the anger one, when it's way over the top, it's a little hard to harness.
Hmm.
But if when that anger, it's activation, it's tons of it, all gets focused into, I'm going to watch that. Look at the number on the back of your ball, and you got to glue your eye to the number. You looking at it is not strong enough. I want you to glue your eye to the back of the ball. You're going to watch your club hit it, and then you're going to watch it fly. That can help focus all that energy, and you can hit shots you never knew you had.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing. If I have a choice, anger or frustrated, I'll take the angry player any day of the week
I
or the
think
anxious player.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to talk more about that too. I just thinking about that round yesterday. I was frustrated, but getting angry as
Yes.
a result of the frustration. Yeah, that's interesting. So, because I always said kind of to my like when I worked with other sports psychologists and coaches over the years, I'm like, I feel like I play a little better with just not like anger, but like just a little edge. It's like if I felt like I was too flat and like trying to be the Zen guy, that's just not really how I'm hardwired, I feel like. So it felt like
I
I
don't
was
think
never
anybody's.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's perfect. So I
Yeah.
like that you said identify that. And then the anxious is another one because if I hear, I survey my audience a lot and talk with a lot of players, and anxious is a lot, whether it's getting into their first tournament or playing a new course or playing with someone that's better than them. So talk to us about what anxious does on the course.
Very interesting concept. We've studied it a bit, and we always ask people, about their level of anxiety, and then we're usually measuring something like heart rate or their brain patterns or something.
Hmm.
And the fascinating part, anxiety has two parts to it. It's a cognitive and somatic. So the somatic part is what your body's doing. Your heart's pounding out of your chest, your legs are shaking. We've had people in the lab who we create stress. We have a lot of fun doing it, but we've had people whose legs shook for 40 putts straight, and I watch them put ball after ball in the hole. The physical side, the somatic side, is not going to get you in much trouble. Even if your hands are shaking, you can get the ball in the hole.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. So, or hit the shot. It's easier with the big stuff than it is with putting because it's a fine motor skill. So the somatic part, they don't like it. Nobody likes it so much, but you can perform fine. But the cognitive part is worry. It's the worry component of anger that's so detrimental. Okay, the fear part, the doubt part, all of that we can kind of put together. So that one comes in and it's pretty devastating. It kind of
Hmm.
takes over. So whatever it is you're worried or fearful of, I, every time I come here, every single time I'm over in the trees on the left or out of bounds, I'm probably going there again today, and probably if you stand up to the ball the same way you always do in your hope and pray mode, you're going to end up over there again today, right? Okay. However, you don't have to. And the first is to make the decision. It's called avoid mindset. I am not going over there today. Under no circumstance am I there. So then your system, your brain and your body, your coaching, they just want to plan. Okay, so you're going to do things different. You can't stand up there in the middle of the tee box like you always do and
Mm.
hit the same swing and the same shot because it's paired in here. You're going to end up over there. Okay, so instead, if you go on the left side of the tee box and you aim way over here to the mower lines down the right side of the fairway and you hit this nice little fade or whatever you have confidence in,
Hmm.
and and you must rip it. You cannot help it through. You've got to swing it like you mean it. I would guess you're not going to be over here on the left.
Mm.
But you see, your brain, it needs things different. You need to put different things in there. You need to shake it up and get it out of its same old pattern of hitting over here on the left every time I get up on this tee
Mm.
box. You see, so to me, you outsmart it. You stay one step ahead. We want to shake it up and help it create a different pattern for this tee shot, and then you'll be fine.
Mm. Okay. So when you feel that fear, especially with like a shot you struggle with,
Yeah,
so you're feeling that. So then that's where you have to kind of give your brain something new. That's the
new and different.
okay.
Yep. It's so crazy. I work with Yips people. I can take their front foot and toe it out a half an inch,
Hmm.
and the yip can go away.
Hmm.
It has nothing to do with their hands. It shakes up the brain and the pattern, and the brain has to say, "Oh, I'm not on automatic. Oh, they're doing something different. Oh, I have to
Mm.
pay attention now. Oh, I got to figure this out." You're in such a different place in here that now you have a chance.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I before even getting into yips, because I was just going there too. You talk about measuring this stuff, and I think that's so cool because a lot of times before, you've been in the mental game space for 30, 40 years. I'm sure at one point this was all kind of theory, and now you guys can hook it up and actually see what we're doing. So talk to us about OptiBrain and how that works and how you can track it, because I want to learn more about it myself and
Yeah.
definitely use it because it sounds really cool.
Oh, thanks. It's been a fun journey. Even back, we started in the 80s. We were the first lab at hooking up the athletes while they were performing to identify where are you when it was archers when you shoot at the best, and where are you when you're not. And
Hmm.
then, so we were able to separate those. And then it was, can we train you? And if we train the brain, which is not a hard thing to do, if we train the brain, will it help performance? Because it only matters if it's going to make a difference, right? So we were able to show that. And then over the years, like I took it to golf and kept collecting under all different crazy conditions, and then so we know the patterns. We actually That's where the balance or the right-sidedness comes in. So we made algorithms in Opti. We put the headset on, and we can measure 4 areas of the brain and a lot of frequencies in the brain. And we know that if we can help you balance those, which just means that your brain's processing, and it ought to be when you're getting ready for the shot, behind the ball, you walk up, you set your club, it's processing, doing its job, but it needs to get done. And that's what happens so much today is we don't get done. So in that last second, it's all got to kind of neutralize.
Mm.
And so that's what we train the brain to do, which then takes you to the subconscious so that your subconscious can create the motion. So helping people get done with all of that is good. We just do it with usually music if you're performing, because you can pick whatever song you like, and
Hmm.
then there's 3 volumes of music, and your only task is get the music low before you take the club back, and then you're in a really good place.
And is this measuring what is the measurement? Is it hertz? Is it something else?
We're measuring power in the different frequency bands, and we measure theta, alpha, beta, and beta 2, which are different,
Hmm.
4 to 8 hertz, 8 to 12,
Okay.
and on up. Okay, so we can measure actually all the way through from delta to gamma, but we
Mm.
only train theta through beta 2. Yeah, but we're training you to synchronize the power
Mm.
in each of those. So that's where it comes along, that we kind of neutralize. One part of your brain still can't be overactive trying to figure out if you're aimed correctly, right?
Yeah.
If that's still going, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's so cool that you can measure that, and that's how you can obviously train it and practice, right? Because then you can start to kind of understand that. And the last thing you said was just so perfect, because I mean, I had a shot yesterday where the commitment was just terrible, and I'm standing over it, and I'm still thinking about, I don't know if this is the right club. The wind's
Yeah.
kind of coming up, and then I hit a terrible shot, and it's like, well, your commitment was, zero. I'm sure if you would have been tracking my brainwaves on that, I'd have been through the roof. And so that's where I guess kind of going back to the conscious and subconscious, we want to use the conscious. The coach needs to give us the plan, the distance, the target, the wind, and then we
Yep.
gotta let the team go operate.
That's exactly just like basketball, just like
Mm,
run down the court and play, get the ball in the basket. They'll
mm,
figure out a way, even if it's not the exact plan. I
mm,
saw a fade and it ends up being a draw, 3 feet from the pin. even if it's not this, they have some say if they know what you want. I
Hmm.
want this thing on the stick. Okay, we can get it there, and they'll take it and do it the best. They know how to do it.
And this is a headband that you wear. Is it your headband or is that the Muse headband? I just
It's
want to
the
make
Muse
sure I'm
headband.
understanding the whole process.
Yeah, right now we use the Muse. We're in the process of making our own,
Oh,
right? But
nice.
yeah, but it is. Yeah, I it just you commented earlier on the anger and frustration, all these things we experience, but over years of doing this, I find if I can help the athletes get set up before the motion better, after
Hmm.
the motion isn't that big of a deal. The if we can just get them set up with the right intentions, focus of attention, finish the swing, that's critical, or the motion. You did your job. I don't know where the ball's going to go, but you couldn't have done any more than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, this is amazing because you've done so much research with it. It's not only you coach players, but you have the brain scans. You have these ability
Yeah.
to like really know, and that's obviously Yips is huge. It's a huge part of the game. I was watching a different interview. You said 7% neurological, 93% psychological. So talk to us about like the different levels of the Yips and kind of what you found in your extensive experience testing this.
Uh, it's fascinating, and I feel for the people with yips, but I have learned so much from them. And I work with Dr. Chuck Adler up at Mayo, and his goal was to be able to find a marker for neurologic yips, which it's the true what we call focal dystonia. And so there is a neurologic condition that is causing this, and that's been his area of research, and he loves golf forever. So in the general population, it's about 30%. But finally, in the last study, our second to last that we did, we kind of figured out it's probably the 7%, which means the other 93% are psychologically
Mm,
induced. However, we also know there's levels of yips affected people, as anybody out there who's had it knows as well. Okay, so some people it's pretty mild, and a couple of things can pretty much manage it, and they'll be fine, at least for a period of time, because it's
hmm.
intermittent, it's conditional only in a tournament, or it could be both, it comes and goes. But I've had tour players win with the yips, so it's not so devastating as we used to think. And if you can get some strategies together. I want my players to walk away with 5 to 7 different things they can do to manage it, because on any one given day, you just do whichever one works.
Mm.
So you stay one step ahead of it up here. And so what in the more severe yips, people, it'll happen in more conditions. Like, well, do you do it in practice? Okay. Do you do it in your living room? There's
Hmm.
nobody around and you're putting to the coffee table, leg or something. So we can kind of get an idea of how bad. I always have players close their eyes. That's what I watch first. If it goes away or it becomes much less, it's not that severe. Okay. And then I want to watch them putt right hand only and left hand only.
Hmm.
Okay. Because if we're a right handed player, it's usually in the right hand. Okay. But how severe is it? Because lots of times what's happening, that's why so many go left hand low first,
Hmm.
is that the right is just overworking. It's just out of balance and helping every single putt. And then it gets worse and worse. So we can pretty much work to take the right hand out of it. And the left does a much better job.
It's
And
very true.
the ultimate change probably is just putting, going to a left-handed putter and putting left-handed. But
Interesting.
there's lots of things you can do before then. And
Hmm.
then there's chipping yips, which are interesting, and then there's full swing yips. So
So what is the brain doing at that time?
well, when we've measured it, the left side is usually still overactive. It's out of balance compared to the right.
Hmm.
And so, if we can use cues or thoughts that can move you over to the right side, it's going to be helpful. You have to focus on something past the yip in time. So if I'm coming through to impact, and that's where I'm yipping, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you want to have a focus on the in the follow through part, whether it's getting the club to halfway or hold the finish or get up here and stick the finish, whatever, because then that keeps your brain and the yip usually they bail. They go somewhere
Mm.
else and it's right because the consciousness doesn't want to experience it anymore. And it's smart enough to just leave. So most of the time some of them will be gone up here before they even start the motion because they know it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, we have to give the consciousness, the coach, something to do so they can't leave town, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the coach has a job to get yourself started and get you to the finish, that's it. The yip will often fix itself, but the more attention you give to the yip motion, the worse it gets usually. Yeah.
Focus on the solution, not the problem, then.
Correct. On the anything finish, anything
Mm-hmm.
on the other side of it. And this minimizes or goes away.
It's funny how I have these interviews sometimes right after a collapse. Because I got to be honest with you, Doc, I got a confession. I think I might have a little bit of like level one, maybe level two wedge yips. So
Yeah.
not chipping, but this like 50 to 75 yards. And
Yeah.
I had a tournament about 3 weeks ago, and it was the first shot of the day, or I hit a good drive. So second shot of the day. And I was feeling a little nervous. It was a bigger event. I was an amateur in a pro event, and I laid the sod on this thing. Proceeded to then skull the next one over the
Oh,
green.
of course.
Got it up and down though for a pretty gutsy bogey.
Whoa.
And so I think part of it was some mechanics, but I feel so then I go to this tournament that I was telling you at McCormick, and I'm like warming up, and I swear to God, the guy next to me probably thought I was the worst golfer ever. Like I started the day with three skulls, and then in between the skulls would be like chunk. Like we're talking like I'm just trying to hit little like 40-yard wedges, getting my body warmed up. I did a great warm up at home, did my meditation, so everything was good. But then I get out there and I'm like, oh, great. You don't know how to play golf anymore. And then went out on the course. Luckily, it didn't happen. But it was just one of those things where I'm like, I feel it. It's like you said, the impact. It's like I'm right here and I'm like, oh. And it's like kind of like that. So I feel like now you said focus on the finish. So it's almost like
Yes.
kind of having something past the yip. So I had to
Yes.
share that with you because it seems like I have guests, unfortunately or fortunately, at the time of my own regressions on the course.
You have to stay in there. It's brutal, but you have to stay in there because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise you're gonna yip, for the
Mm-hmm.
most part. That your pitch shot one, one of the best things you can do for your pitch shot is you have to separate your hands on the handle of the club so they don't touch each other.
Hmm.
Okay. It doesn't matter how far apart or together as long as they don't touch. Because in your brain, when they touch, it's a unimanual task and it looks at it very differently. I have to move the unit. When they don't touch, it's a bimanual task in the brain, and I have to figure out how to make this hand work with this hand. It's so different in the brain, you have a chance.
Hmm.
If you just separate your hands so they don't touch, it,
Because I
it
do like an
easy.
overlap, so
Can't touch.
can't
It's
touch.
it feels
And you saying to
awful.
practice like that or play like that?
Oh, you might have to play like that. I mean, it just depends on how severe. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, you know, uh, when you have them and you have them bad, I mean, you get to the point you'll do anything. So,
Yeah.
right, to be able to get the ball where you want it to go. But it feels
Interesting.
bad, but that's why it works because
Hmm.
you the problem with yips, you have the motor cortex here, and then you have the sensory area behind. The issues are more in the sensory area, not the motor, because the sensory area feeds the motor and prepares the motor task, the
Mm-hmm.
motion. So you have to change the sensory input, which is why people always change hands, because that's your primary sensory input that can make the biggest difference.
And that's kind of one of those things, like you said, having multiple ways to solve it, right? It's not just the
Yeah.
one fix.
Oh, you bet. I've had
Mm-hmm.
people four different hand positions in 18 holes. Whatever feels good, you do it.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on keeping the conscious mind busy and doing a countdown or singing a
Yeah.
song? Like,
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
that's,
all good. If you're going to count, count backwards.
Yeah, that's what I do is 99. As soon as I
Uh,
start walking into my putts, 99, and I hit my putt at
uh,
90, 94, and I've
yep,
been doing that for 2, 3 years ever since I learned that, and I love that.
good for you. That's exactly right. Count, yeah, count steps in between shots.
Mm.
Counting's good. Keeps you kind of neutral.
Keeps you neutral. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Wow, this is some good stuff. So appreciate you helping me out as well. But I know the audience will definitely, kind of understand the chipping and the putting yips. We've all been there. So it's really about getting different solutions, obviously testing them out, and then the biggest thing I've got from you too is like outsmarting your brain, like having strategies ready to go.
Staying one step ahead,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, yeah, you're not stuck. You're not a victim of whatever showed up. You don't have to be. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're plenty smart and you can figure out that's kind of the right-sided creative. All you got to do is get the ball from here to there. You get
Mm-hmm.
the ball from here to there and you can score. That's it.
Gotcha. What are your thoughts then on off course training? Hypnosis or meditation or journaling. What are some things that you think can help maybe regulate the brain or give you more tools?
All are good. All of them help you learn that you can control your brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
They teach you ways to manage it. And so that's building an image that, I'm in charge again, which is what we'd like. So
Mm.
so they're all good. We do neurofeedback, and there's different techniques out there. Um, I think they're still all kind of after the same thing. And the mindset that you step up to that ball with is critical. That's what we're studying now is the different mindsets. But you can have say over it. You can pick which one you want to use today
Mm-hmm.
on this shot in this conditions. I always figure you have one chance to hit this shot under these conditions the way I feel today, and you're never going to have it again.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do? And what all of sports a transfer of energy. What energy do you want to transfer to that ball? It's your choice, you know, and you can pick. That's what's fun.
Mm. What have you learned working with so many pros and college players that are just unbelievably talented, but then they have the mental and the pressure and all that? What is something maybe you've learned from them that you think can help the everyday golfer too?
Well, I'm glad you brought it up. That word pressure, because I hear lots of times instructors, coaches, what they're trying to take the pressure off, and I'm trying to help them be a pressure player.
Mm.
So I'm putting pressure on. I'm doing distraction. I'm doing trash talking. I'm doing anything I can to mess them up so that we can see what changes and help them figure out how to manage it, right?
Interesting.
Okay. So now pressure, there's good pressure and not so good pressure, right? If you sign up for all those tournaments because you love competition, it's pressure. If you didn't want the pressure, watch it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So
Totally.
yeah. So the thing is, you that pressure, that's all good. That's challenge. Okay. It's
Mm-hmm.
not threat, it's challenge. The one that kills the players to me is expectations. The language of expectation is have to, need to, should. Which one of those do you hear most often on the golf course? And they just kill our performance.
Mm.
Yeah, how often is it? What shot would you like to hit here? What would
Mm.
be the most fun shot you could possibly pull out of your bag? I'll often have them play two balls. One is your percentage shot, and the other one is the hardest, most challenging shot you can find. Hit both of them and see which one you score better with. Yeah, because one of them will focus your attention pretty good, and I'm
Mm.
going to guess if you've got some skill, you'll pull it off.
Have to, need to, should. So those are ones we should just eliminate those from our vocabulary.
Yep. What would you like to do? Or better yet, what are you going to do? What is your
Mm.
plan? You don't have to guarantee it. You don't have to guarantee where the ball's going or the swing, but you got to have a plan so this knows what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is the level of expectation is going to equal the level of frustration. If you're frustrated, what's the expectation that just caused it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I shouldn't play like this. I can't believe you missed that.
Are you
right?
talking about me? I feel like this is too.
All of us.
I love it. Yeah, the expectations is like one of the reasons I started this brand because once they started learning about like the PGA Tour stats and they only hit, 65% of greens. And I'm like, well, why are you beating yourself up if you don't hit 80%? You think you're better than Tiger and these guys? It's like it's one of those where I feel like expectations go hand in hand with pressure. What do having unrealistic expectations do to your brain versus like just I don't know, I don't want to say normal expectations, but I guess maybe kind of explain that from the wicked smart perspective you have.
Well, not that I've tested it. I have to think back on the studies we've had. I haven't specifically, but I could guesstimate that when the expectations come in, there's potentially more activation. Okay,
Mm,
because every shot is challenge or threat. And with the expectation stuff, I think you're more likely to get threat than you are challenge because challenge is a good pressure, right? And so you're probably a little more activation and probably a little more left-sided because I have to get this ball in the hole. I'm
mm,
going to make it happen. It's kind of like that old the make sure concept. I got to make sure I do this. As soon as you hear make sure in your brain, you're in the wrong place to hit the ball because you already don't think they're able, your team's able to do it. So
mm,
I got to step in, the coach does, and make sure they do it right. You're already in the wrong place,
mm-hmm.
right? Make sure is not good.
Okay. Yeah. And speaking of studies, you mentioned too, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you about that choking study
Oh
that you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
did because everybody's choked before. So what did the data tell you there?
Well, yeah, choking. That one was the most fun study I said that we've done. NBC Dateline came in and they filmed with us for like 4 days, and we put people through some real strenuous activity. That's the one where we had legs shaken for 40 putts, and man, they just drop one after another. But we doubled their heart rate, so it was pretty good. But the thing is that probably the people, we do know that the group, we got down to 10 people, five just so happened to choke and it was a big money condition on national television, all this stuff. And five did not. The five that did not choke all had a lot of competitive experience. It wasn't golf. It was a football quarterback. It was two pro soccer players. It was, what was the other guy? Baseball, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
And
It
those are the
doesn't
ones that didn't
matter.
choke.
They didn't choke because they have experience handling more pressure, right?
Mm,
Yeah. And so then the ones that choke, you could just see, I mean, they all had high anxiety. Anxiety was up there, but anxiety, another thing we learned, yips or choking, anxiety is not the cause. It just exacerbates the condition. So if we gave you drugs and got rid of the anxiety, so to speak, it doesn't mean the yips are gone.
mm-hmm.
Okay. And so it isn't the anxiety exactly. It just makes everything bigger and worse. And so now you have poor performance. But choking is usually a self focus. The problem is in choking, it's like, oh no, all these people are watching. Oh no, I'm playing so good. And then all of a sudden, I'm not playing good. And what are these people? So where's your focus? It's outside of the task. What's the task is get the ball in the hole. So the reason it spirals is you aren't even in there playing the game anymore because you're so concerned about everything around you. So if you can come back, glue your eye to the number on that ball, put your blinders on
Mm,
and go play, you know, you can get through it. It can be high pressure, but you got
mm-hmm.
to take all that activation and just focus it. And that's what they do, I think, every Sunday, the PGA, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like if you're choking, you're probably outward instead of inward.
correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Wow, I could talk with you all day. This has been so much fun.
Oh,
Before the last question, what's the best place people can connect with you, learn more about your program that you have? I know you've done a lot over the last 40 plus years, but yeah, what's the best place to follow you and connect?
well, probably now, drdebbiecruz.com, it's just all one website, has all of our other websites on it for like OptiBrain and neurofeedback and the other products we have, and then it kind of tells the story. So that one's probably the most comprehensive. Yeah.
Perfect. I will link to that down below and make sure everybody checks it out. And for the last question is, after you have done so much, let's just say there was a world where you only had 2 sentences where you could explain what you've learned from the thousands and thousands of scans, all the books you've read, all the stuff. How would you kind of summarize your take on the mental game and improving their performance?
That's a really good question. Um, be in charge would certainly be one. You know, what even it, not control, because everything could be going wrong today. Get up on the wrong side of the bed, paired with so and so, horrible weather, horrible conditions. If you can stay in charge, we're always in charge of ourselves. You can do anything. You know, and I mean, I study attention, but this is even the tour players, if they're not hitting a shot good, it's going to be focus of attention. Or if they, play well and then aren't, it's they lost their focus. So you have to know what to focus on and how to focus it. I learned that one from the lab. Okay. And usually it's going to take a bit of intensity. Yeah.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
Dr. Cruz, thank you so much again for sharing
Thank
so
you.
much. And I feel like our audience is going to be wicked smart after listening to this interview. So thank you again for all you've done for athletes in the game of golf.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. Bye bye.